And when he's been in spots like this, things have not gone all that well. Other heavyweight prospects have gotten by Jenkins before, including the likes of Ty Fields, Eddie Chambers, Taurus Sykes, and the very well-regarded Chris Arreola. And there is Chazz Witherspoon. And yes, he is related to Tim Witherspoon, the former 1980s heavyweight titleist. Chazz's dad is Tim's cousin. He's a perfect 22-0, 15 knockouts. He goes 6'4", 225. And as an amateur, Chazz was a U.S. Olympic alternate, took home the 2004 National Golden Gloves. As a student, he took home a degree from St. Joe's University in Philly. He's a smart guy. Now he's getting his advanced degree in the realities of the heavyweight division, just moving forward.
I want to make sure I win the fight. Winning is more important than anything. If I knock him out, that comes. If not, so be it. As far as me being compared to the other up-and-coming prospects, they all have been boxing a lot longer than I have. I'm young in terms of ring experience, as far as long as I've been in the ring. I just want to make sure that I go out there and do things that I'm doing in the gym, do things that I'm working on in the gym, and allow my development to just show forth, because I'm getting better with each fight.
Philly's Chazz Witherspoon, 10-round fight, and Earl Brown is the referee for our co-feature.
Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch them up.
Teddy has the Just for Men hair color stay in the fight analysis.
And there it is. Jenkins, stay outside, use your legs, keep Witherspoon, the bigger man, off balance. Move. Do not stand in front. And for Witherspoon, well, you're the bigger man. Take advantage of that size. No better way to do that than going to the smaller man's body and breaking him down.
Chazz Witherspoon, unbeaten heavyweight prospect. He has stayed busy. His third fight of 2008, 5 fights in 07, 6 in 06, 8 in 05, and that's the way to do it if you want to grow.
You know, Jenkins has been knocked out 4 times by fighters who consider themselves prospects. If Witherspoon wants to be considered at least that, I think he needs to score a knockout tonight, just like those other prospects did.
So the bar is set according to Teddy, and we will see if Chazz Witherspoon can deliver. Working the jab early on.
Now Witherspoon did say that he had an abrasion under his left eye that caused him to miss some sparring in his camp. Also had some tooth problems, said it interfered with his training. Well, first thing I'd say is he's fortunate that he's in with the right opponent, at least I think the right opponent, tonight. And second of all, I would say, hey, his weight, Witherspoon's weight is the lightest in almost 3 years. So it doesn't sound to me, by what the scales tell me, that he had any disruptions in training. Sounds like he's in top shape.
Well, 2 other times this year as Witherspoon was outworked in the first couple rounds in his last fight against 18-1 Jonathan Hagler, but then scored a 4th round TKO in that fight.
Too much movement from Witherspoon. I know I'm nitpicking a little bit, but
unnecessary movement?
Yeah. Just a little bit of head jerking and his arms waving a little bit, and you don't want to make extra movement in that ring. And while he's making that extra movement, opportunities for Jenkins to take advantage of that extra movement and simply beat him to the mark. In other words, get off punches and get out. And again, just watch that upper body of Witherspoon. Little herky-jerky movement that I don't see really doing anything for him. Just wasting a little bit of position, a little bit of time.
Chazz Witherspoon said he does not consider himself to be a one-punch power kind of heavyweight. Wants to use that jab and eventually wear his opponent down. We saw him do just that last summer in Saratoga against Talmadge Griffiths in a fight that was getting interesting in the later stages before he came up with the 9th round TKO.
You know, you have to wonder what's in the mind of a Jenkins, because pretty much he's here as an opponent. And you wonder if that's what he's thinking right now. And you wonder if Witherspoon would jump on him, maybe he could take advantage of that mentality.
Not yet. End of 1. Burger King reminds you to have it your way. And Verizon Wireless. A good look at Lady Liberty. In between where we are right now in the home of one Teddy Atlas in Staten Island, we are at the Manhattan Center, the Hammerstein Ballroom in Midtown Manhattan for Wednesday night fights. A chance to see two unbeaten prospects. First here is Chazz Witherspoon, the unbeaten heavyweight prospect who now is seeing the aggression from Domonic Jenkins. And coming up later will be Peter Quillen, the unbeaten middleweight.
You know, the point I was making at the end of the last round, Joe, is that Jenkins is here. It's no secret that he's supposed to be an opponent. And you're thinking about what's going on in his mind as he was left alone for that first round. If maybe Witherspoon attacks him, maybe he acts like an opponent. Maybe he's not there anymore. But as Witherspoon leaves him alone, you wonder if Jenkins' mentality changes and he starts getting confidence and starts saying, hey, maybe I don't have to be an opponent tonight. And he's acting like that a little tiny bit in the second round.
He is. You're dead on with that analysis, Teddy. He's already landed more punches in the first 45 seconds of the second round than he did in the entire first round. Landed 9 punches to start things off here. Only was 5 of 44. Let's look at the updated punch track numbers between Jenkins and Witherspoon in real time there. And you see Jenkins out 11 of 26 in this round, landing 42% to get things started. More the aggressor in that opening minute.
Witherspoon, when you look at a heavyweight, a lot of people think, well, it's going to be a guy that's going to walk in that ring and he's going to go introduce himself and, you know, he's going to just come forward and there's going to be bombs coming. But not all the time. Witherspoon, very thoughtful, in some ways very careful.
I think we're going to be continuing that conversation on Friday night fights this week. It's going to be the focus of our analysis, I believe, because we're seeing Kevin Johnson against Terry Smith, a veteran who we've seen many times before and consistently will try to make a fight and will give and take. But Johnson, who has a great looking body and a good, quick, snappy jab, that's been the criticism with him also, Teddy.
Yeah, it has been. And Witherspoon, who was a member of the National Honor Society in high school, 3.8 GPA. Some people might say that he thinks too much.
Graduated from St. Joe's University, was in the National Honor Society in high school, accepted an academic scholarship to St. Joe's. And reportedly, Phil Martelli was trying to get him to come out for the Hawks hoop team. But he stuck to the studies. Didn't want to risk losing that academic scholarship. So he dug down, concentrated on the books, and now has gone forward with his pro boxing career at 22-0 at age 26.
Well, one of the subjects that I don't think was his top subject in school, Witherspoon that is, was math. Because he's not adding up the numbers.
No, he's not
adding up those punch numbers.
Don't punch. Back up.
We'll see if he can get to it when we come back to Wednesday night fights.
Time!
I'm just going to grab your x-rays.
As Witherspoon coming out for round number 3. You see him perched up with his elbows on that top red roof. He chooses to stand instead of sitting on a stool in between rounds, Teddy.
George Foreman, of course, comes to mind. The second coming of George Foreman, that is, when he came back after the 10-year layoff and was, in a lot of ways, a tougher guy, mentally at least. A guy that was more relaxed, a guy that got more out of himself.
Come on, let him go, let him go, let him go, let him go. Break, don't punch.
There's a double-edged sword to somebody standing. First of all, the guy that's standing, the opponent looks at him and says, boy, this guy doesn't think anything of me. He's standing up all the time. I have a hard night in front of me. But if you decide to sit down, then all of a sudden, your opponent looks across and say things are changing. Now he's sitting down. Now I can get into it.
Punch out.
So that's a wonderful analysis of the mental side of standing rather than taking a stool. What about the physical side? Is there any benefit physically of keeping the legs up and keeping...
Joe, let's be honest. You know, these guys spar in the gyms. And they spar 8 rounds. They spar 9 rounds. They spar 10. They don't sit.
They don't sit, right?
No, they
just walk over there.
Yeah, and then they go hit the heavy bag. Right. And then they go do hand pads. And they do other things. So they've done it before. A lot of the audiences say, wow, that's a unique thing. He's doing something that's never been done. No, he does it every day in his training.
Jenkins, once again, more the aggressor here. Domonic Jenkins, 35 years old, a record of 13-7-2. And as we noted early on, this is a guy who has been defeated fairly easily by the other heavyweight prospects in recent years.
And he's also a guy who's much smaller and has been much smaller, Joe, than Witherspoon. He's been as low as 198 pounds. Witherspoon's lowest was 219. And his last fight for Jenkins, or for Witherspoon, I should say, was 227. Witherspoon coming in tonight, 225.
Just to put the company lines of Domonic Jenkins in perspective, Chris Ariola, who we've seen before and we've been impressed with, knocked him out in 5. Eddie Chambers, who, as we know, has risen to the next level to be a heavyweight contender, although a setback recently with a loss. TKO'd him in 5. And Ty Fields, the big 6'8". Ty Fields got rid of Domonic Jenkins in 7.
Well, if Witherspoon wants to get rid of Jenkins, 2 things. You don't have to be Angelo Dundee to know this. 1, start moving your hands. You can't get rid of somebody if you're not punching. And the other thing, go downstairs to the body, as we suggested in the fight plan of the smaller man.
Come on, don't hold him, don't hold him.
Work on the inside by Jenkins. And there's a left hook that scores, and he comes with a right uppercut. Jenkins doing well at the end of 3.
A guy who's an opponent get confidence. Now watch this. Right uppercut. But if he puts something on top, maybe he does more than just stagger Witherspoon. Right uppercut lands good. The right hand up top, just a little hesitation. But right now, no hesitation.
Not at all. Swinging away with a series of wide punches. Jenkins looked to get the best of it. Witherspoon was able to connect on inside of one of those punches with a right hand.
Yeah, the good news, and there's good news and bad news when Jenkins opens up like that. The good news is he gets ahead on the scorecard and he sends a little message. The bad news, the punches are wide. He leaves opening for Witherspoon to punch right in between and maybe take him out.
Teddy, early on tonight, you noted that there's an opportunity for Domonic Jenkins because Witherspoon was not engaging in the fight. Well, look at the punch track numbers as things have moved on for Domonic Jenkins. In fact, in round 3, he had 30 connects. That was his high total so far, and off to a good start here in round 4, where he's 12 of 23. So he has picked up the pace after that first round. It's a good, sharp left hand from Jenkins again. But it looks like Witherspoon starting to wake up a bit.
It also looks like Jenkins spent himself just a little bit with that flurry at the beginning of the round.
Now just leaning in on the inside rather than working.
Now would be a good opportunity for the uppercut of Witherspoon as Jenkins does lean forward. When you lean forward with that upper body, you're susceptible to a punch from underneath. Uppercuts come from underneath.
He detailed the road of Jenkins and some of the losses in his career. Many of those fights were taken on short notice. For this fight, he said he had plenty of time to prepare and he feels his conditioning is much improved.
And right now, Jenkins walking forward. And it looks good. But there's also a flaw in that. I think if Witherspoon would step back a little bit and allow Jenkins to fall forward, he'd fall right into a punch.
Punch track numbers, the total body shots, Jenkins have landed 40.
Look how Jenkins is falling forward. His upper body a little bit ahead of his lower body. That is dangerous if Witherspoon would take a little step back, let him fall in, and then launch an uppercut.
Now Jenkins is backing into that neutral corner.
If I'm in the corner of Witherspoon, I'm telling him concentrate on small steps back and uppercuts.
Witherspoon comes in with a right lead that time. A thudding shot. And now it's Witherspoon who looks to take control as we come towards the end of round number 4. Witherspoon, right hand. Jenkins tries to fire back. Witherspoon back on the attack. End of 4.
Closed captioning for selected programming is brought to you by Echo Unlimited.
06, and this is the magnificent Hammerstein Ballroom. It is home to this week's Wednesday night fights. Chazz Witherspoon, 4 rounds into this, the 20.